Marcus Webb pressed his face against the window of the galactic cruiser Starwind, watching stars blur past like streaks of light. He still couldn't believe he was here, the first human ever allowed on an alien luxury cruise ship. Amazing, Marcus whispered to himself. The ship was massive and beautiful. Everything glowed with soft blue light. The seats were made for the Velcor, tall blue aliens with 4 arms who'd been traveling space for 10,000 years. Marcus felt small and simple compared to them. A Velcor flight attendant walked past, all 4 arms carrying elegant drinks. She looked at Marcus with her large purple eyes and smiled politely, but Marcus saw what she really thought. To her, humans were primitives, babies who had only been in space for 50 years. Captain Zeknor's voice came over the speaker system, smooth and confident. "Attention passengers, we are now entering the Nebula of Storms. Please enjoy the magnificent view. The Starwind has made this journey 5,000 times. You're completely safe." Marcus looked out the window. The nebula was breathtaking. Purple and gold clouds of cosmic gas swirling like an ocean. Lightning danced between the clouds. It was dangerous and beautiful at the same time. Other passengers, aliens from different worlds, took pictures and chatted excitedly. Some pointed at Marcus, the strange human tourist. Marcus heard them whisper, "That's the primitive one." From Earth, he tried to ignore them. He was here because he won a lottery, 1 ticket out of millions. As a mechanical engineer, he'd always dreamed of seeing alien technology up close. The Velcor ships were legends. They never broke down, never failed. Suddenly, the smooth humming of the engines changed. A strange grinding sound echoed through the ship. Marcus sat up straight. Something was wrong. He knew engine sounds. He'd worked on machines his whole life. The lights flickered, once, twice. Then every light turned red. A piercing alarm screamed through the ship. The beautiful blue glow became a nightmare of red flashing lights. Passengers started screaming. The Velcor flight attendants ran toward the bridge, their 4 arms flailing in panic. Marcus heard shouting in the Velcor language, high-pitched, terrified voices. He didn't understand the words, but he understood the fear. The ship shook violently. Marcus grabbed his seat as gravity fluctuated. His stomach lurched as objects began floating. Through the window, Marcus saw something that made his blood run cold. The nebula clouds were moving. No, they weren't moving. The ship was being pulled toward a dark center where the clouds spiraled inward like water down a drain, a black hole. The intercom crackled. Captain Zeknor's voice came through, no longer smooth and confident. Now it shook with terror. "Main engine failure. Navigation systems offline. All crew to emergency stations." Marcus looked toward the bridge. Through the open doorway, he saw the Velcor pilots frantically pushing buttons. Nothing was working. Their 4 arms moved desperately across controls, but the screens stayed dark. They were frozen, panicked, lost. Marcus felt his engineer's mind kick into gear. He unbuckled his seatbelt. A Velcor passenger grabbed his arm. "Sit down, human. The crew will fix this." Marcus looked at the terrified pilots, then at the black hole pulling them closer. "No," he said quietly. "They won't." He stood up and started running toward the bridge. The ship shook again. A screen on the wall showed a countdown timer that made Marcus's heart stop. Marcus ran down the corridor as the ship tilted sideways. He slammed into the wall, pushed off, and kept running. Red emergency lights flashed everywhere, making everything look like a nightmare. "Passenger, stop!" A Velcor security guard stepped in front of him, all 4 arms spread wide to block the path. "Get out of my way," Marcus shouted. "Passengers must return to seats immediately." The guard's voice was firm, but Marcus saw fear in his purple eyes. Marcus tried to push past. The guard grabbed him with 2 arms. Marcus twisted free. The guard wasn't expecting a human to be so strong. "Your pilots don't know what they're doing," Marcus yelled and ran past the shocked guard. He burst onto the bridge. The scene was chaos. 5 Velcor officers sat at their stations, their 4 arms flying over controls. Nothing worked. Screens flickered with error messages. Captain Zeknor stood in the center, shouting orders that made no difference. "Reroute power to engines." "It won't respond, Captain." "Override the navigation system." "All systems are locked, sir." Marcus saw the main view screen. The black hole filled half the view now, a massive dark circle surrounded by a ring of dying light. The ship was being pulled faster and faster toward it. Captain Zeknor turned and saw Marcus. "What is a passenger doing on my bridge?" "Security!" "Captain, listen to me." Marcus moved forward. "I'm an engineer. I can help." The captain's purple eyes narrowed. "You, a human? You've only been in space for 50 years. The Velcor have been building ships for 10,000 years. And that's your problem." Marcus pointed at the dead controls. "Your ships are too perfect. They never break, so you never learned how to fix them." A female Velcor officer looked up from her station, her voice desperate. "Captain, we have 12 minutes before we cross the event horizon." Nothing is responding. Captain Zeknor's confident expression cracked. Marcus saw doubt there and fear. "Captain," Marcus said more quietly, "I worked on Earth ships. They break down all the time. I've fixed engines with tape and wire. I've kept systems running that should have died. Your technology is better than ours, but the basic principles are the same." "Let me look." The ship lurched. Passengers screamed from the passenger area. Something exploded below deck, a shower of sparks visible through the window. Captain Zeknor stared at Marcus for 3 long seconds. Then his 4 shoulders sagged. "Do it," he said. "But if you fail, humans will be blamed for this disaster forever." "If I fail, we'll all be dead, so I won't care," Marcus said, grabbing a toolkit from the wall. "Where's the main engine room?" "Deck 7, Section 9, the navigator said. "But sir, the radiation levels down there are critical. The magnetic containment field is failing. Any being will die from exposure in 3 minutes." Marcus was already running toward the elevator. "Then I better work fast." He reached the elevator and pressed the button. Nothing happened. "Emergency lockdown." "Of course, manual access," the navigator called out. "Maintenance shaft beside the elevator." Marcus found the shaft entrance, a small round door meant for Velcor bodies, not humans. He forced it open and looked down. A long metal ladder disappeared into darkness, lit only by emergency red lights. He climbed inside and started descending as fast as he could. The shaft was hot. He smelled burning metal and ozone. Not good signs. His hands slipped on the ladder. It was covered in some kind of coolant that was leaking. Marcus kept going, his arms burning from the effort. He reached Deck 7 and forced open another door. The corridor was filled with smoke. Emergency spray systems released white foam everywhere. Marcus pushed through. Section 9 was ahead. The engine room, the massive door was sealed shut. A warning light above it flashed yellow. "Danger, lethal, radiation levels." Marcus tried the door control. Nothing. It was jammed or locked. He looked around and found a metal bar, some kind of structural beam that had fallen from the ceiling. He jammed it into the door's edge and pulled with all his strength. "Come on," he grunted. The door moved a centimeter, then another. Marcus pulled harder, his muscles screaming. The door opened halfway, enough for him to squeeze through. Heat and light blasted out. The engine room was a disaster. Floating in zero gravity were pieces of broken equipment. Sparks flew from exposed cables. The main engine, a massive glowing sphere in the center, was flickering like a dying light bulb. A voice crackled in his ear, the ship's intercom system. "Human, the radiation in that room will kill you in 3 minutes. You need protective equipment." Marcus looked at the engine, looked at his hands, and made his choice. "No time for protection," he said. "How much time until the point of no return?" A pause. Then Captain Zeknor's voice, heavy with despair. 9 minutes. Marcus pulled himself into the engine room and let the door close behind him. "Then I'll fix it in 8, he said. Though he had no idea if that was possible. He floated toward the dying engine and began to work. Marcus floated in zero gravity toward the massive engine sphere. His skin already felt hot from the radiation. The air smelled like burning metal and electricity. Every breath hurt his lungs. He grabbed a handrail and pulled himself closer to examine the engine. The magnetic containment field generator was cracked right down the middle. Pieces of it drifted in the air like deadly debris. Okay, Marcus muttered to himself, his engineer brain taking over. Power's still flowing, but the field can't contain it. That's why everything's failing. His hands moved quickly, opening access panels. The Velcor technology looked alien and complex, but Marcus saw past the fancy exterior. At its core, it was still an engine. It needed power, containment, and cooling. Same basic principles as Earth engines. The ship lurched again. Marcus slammed into the wall, cutting his arm on a sharp edge. Blood floated in droplets around him, red spheres spinning in zero gravity. Captain Zeknor's voice came through the intercom. "Human, are you alive?" "For now," Marcus said, already pulling cables and rerouting connections. "The magnetic generator is cracked. I'm bypassing it and redirecting power through the secondary systems." The secondary systems weren't designed to handle primary loads. "They'll have to," Marcus said, his fingers working fast. He stripped wire casings with his teeth, twisted connections together. This wasn't pretty engineering. This was survival engineering. Sweat poured down his face. His vision blurred for a moment. The radiation was attacking his cells, making him sick. Marcus shook his head to clear it and kept working. 6 minutes until event horizon, the navigator's voice announced. Marcus found the secondary power relay. He opened it and saw the problem immediately. The Velcor had built their ships perfectly. Every wire exactly placed, every connection precisely calibrated. There was no room for improvisation, no backup systems. Humans built differently. Human ships had redundancy, backup plans, things held together with quick fixes and creative solutions. Because human ships broke down constantly. "Your problem is you made everything too perfect," Marcus said, pulling out cables and reconnecting them in a new pattern. "When perfection breaks, you don't know how to work with imperfection." He created a makeshift bridge between 3 separate systems that were never meant to connect. It was ugly, inefficient, and would probably fail after a few hours. But they only needed a few hours. Power began flowing through the new connections. The engine sphere flickered brighter. The ship's humming changed tone, still struggling but fighting back. "It's working," someone shouted on the bridge. "We have partial power." Marcus allowed himself 1 second of relief. Then he saw the next problem. The containment field still wouldn't stabilize. Power was flowing, but without a stable field, the engine would overload and explode. He looked at the cracked generator, at the floating pieces, at the incomplete circuit. His heart sank. The field needed 2 connection points joined to complete the circuit, but they were separated by the crack, floating apart. Someone would need to physically hold them together for at least 30 seconds while the field stabilized and locked into place. Marcus looked at the 2 contact points. They were glowing white-hot and crackling with electricity, 10,000 volts running through them. 4 minutes to event horizon. The navigator called. Marcus pulled himself to the contact points. He positioned himself between them, 1 point on his left, 1 on his right. "Captain," Marcus said quietly into the intercom. "Yes? If I don't make it, tell Earth that Marcus Webb died doing what he loved, fixing broken things." "What are you?" Marcus didn't let him finish. He reached out with both hands and grabbed the 2 contact points. Electricity exploded through his body. Every muscle in Marcus's body seized at once. His jaw clenched so hard he thought his teeth would break. His eyes rolled back. Pain, pure, burning, endless pain, shot through every nerve, but his hands held on. On the bridge, the crew watched through the camera feed in horror. "He's being electrocuted," the medical officer screamed. "He should be dead already." But Marcus wasn't dead. His body convulsed. Smoke rose from his hands where they gripped the contacts. His skin burned, but his fingers didn't let go. 1, Marcus counted through gritted teeth. 2, 3. The containment field began to form. A sphere of blue energy surrounded the engine core, flickering, trying to stabilize. 4, 5, 6. Marcus's heart was beating irregularly. The medical scanners on the bridge showed his vital signs going crazy. "Human vitals are critical," the medical officer reported. His heart could stop any second. Captain Zeknor stood frozen, watching this human, this supposedly primitive creature, endure something that would have killed a Velcor instantly. 7, 8, 9. The field grew stronger. The blue sphere stopped flickering. It was working. It was actually working. 10, 11, 12. Marcus's consciousness started to fade. The edges of his vision went dark. He saw his mother's face from when he was a child. She was smiling, proud of him. 13, 14, 15, the pain disappeared. Not because it was gone, but because Marcus's brain was shutting down, unable to process it anymore. His body was dying, but his hands still held on. 16, 17, 18. On the bridge, an alarm changed. The navigator looked at her screen with wide eyes. The magnetic field is at 70%. It's stabilizing. How long does he need to hold? Captain Zeknor asked. 30 seconds total for a complete lock. He's at 19 seconds. He can't survive another 11. But Marcus didn't hear them. He was somewhere else now, floating in darkness. His body acted on pure instinct, pure stubborn human will. 19, 20, 21. His heartbeat was visible on the bridge monitors. It was slowing, becoming erratic. 22, 23, 24. Alien passengers watching on their screens were crying. Some were praying in languages Marcus would never hear. 25, 26, 27. The blue containment field locked into place with a flash of brilliant light. 28, 29. The field was stable, complete. The engine roared to life at full power. 30. Marcus whispered. He let go. His body went limp, floating in the zero gravity of the engine room. His hands were black and burned. Smoke rose from his clothes. His eyes were closed. On the bridge, Captain Zeknor grabbed the controls. Full power to thrusters. All engines reverse. Pull us away from the black hole. The Starwind strained against the immense gravity. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, meter by meter, the ship began to pull away. The view screen showed the black hole getting smaller. They were escaping. The crew cheered. Passengers screamed in joy and relief. But in the engine room, Marcus didn't move. The medical officer grabbed her kit. "I'm going in!" "Protective suit, no time," Captain Zeknor said. "The radiation levels are still too high for Velcor. We'll die before we reach him." They watched the camera feed. Marcus floated motionless, his body slowly spinning in the zero gravity. The medical scanner showed his vital signs. One faint heartbeat, then another, then nothing. The screen went flat. "No," the medical officer whispered. Captain Zeknor stared at the screen, at the human who had saved them all. "Get him out of there," the captain said, his voice breaking. "Get him out, now!" The medical officer grabbed 2 crew members. "Get protective suits. Now, we're going in." Captain Zeknor watched the monitor screen, his 4 hands gripping the edge of his command chair. Marcus's body floated motionless in the engine room, still spinning slowly in zero gravity. "Captain, the ship is clear of the black hole," the navigator reported. "We're safe, but at what cost?" The medical team rushed down the corridors in heavy protective suits. The radiation would still hurt them, even with protection, but they had to try. Through the camera feed, everyone on the bridge watched them enter the engine room. "I've got him," the medical officer said, catching Marcus's floating body. "Moving him out now." They pulled Marcus through the door and into the corridor where radiation levels were lower. The medical officer removed her helmet and immediately began checking his vital signs. Heartbeat is barely there. Burns on both hands, severe. "Radiation exposure is..." She paused, her purple eyes widening. "This is impossible. He absorbed enough radiation to kill 3 Velcors instantly." "Will he live?" Captain Zeknor demanded through the intercom. The medical officer didn't answer. She was too busy trying to save Marcus's life. She injected him with medicines, placed breathing equipment over his mouth, worked on him with all 4 hands moving at once. Marcus's body convulsed once. Then again, he's seizing. His body is fighting the radiation poisoning. On the bridge, alien passengers crowded around screens watching. The entire ship held its breath. This human, this tourist they had looked down on, called primitive, had just saved all their lives. "Come on, human," the medical officer whispered. "You survived 30 seconds of electricity. You can survive this." She pressed a device to Marcus's chest. His body arched as an electrical pulse hit his heart. Nothing. She did it again. Still nothing. "We're losing him," she cried. A young Velcor engineer stepped forward. "Wait, humans are different from us. Their bodies are more tough. They evolved on a harsh planet. Maybe he just needs more time." "We don't have more time," the medical officer said. But she kept working, refusing to give up. 1 minute passed. 2 minutes. 3. Then faintly, the medical scanner beeped a heartbeat. Weak, irregular, but there. He's alive. The medical officer shouted, "Get him to medical bay immediately." They rushed Marcus through the corridors on a floating stretcher. Passengers stepped back, watching in silence as the burned, unconscious human passed by. In the medical bay, the officer worked for hours. She treated his burns, flushed the radiation from his system as much as possible, stabilized his heart. Other medical staff from different alien species came to help, bringing medicines and techniques from their worlds. All for one human. Captain Zeknor stood outside the medical bay, waiting. Other passengers gathered there too. The Velcor who had called humans primitive. The aliens who had mocked Marcus. Now they all waited together, hoping he would survive. 3 days passed. Marcus floated in and out of darkness. He heard voices sometimes, alien voices speaking in languages he didn't understand. He felt pain, then numbness, then pain again. He dreamed of the engine room, of electricity, of his mother telling him to never give up. On the 3rd day, Marcus opened his eyes. The medical bay was quiet. Soft blue lights glowed on the ceiling. His hands were wrapped in white bandages. His body felt weak, like he had run a marathon. A figure sat beside his bed, Captain Zeknor. The tall Velcor's purple eyes looked tired. When he saw Marcus awake, he stood up quickly. "You're awake," the captain said, his voice filled with something Marcus had never heard before. Respect. We didn't think you'd survive." Marcus tried to speak. His throat was dry. The captain quickly brought him water, strange alien water that tasted like mint. "Did it work?" Marcus croaked. "Did we escape?" Captain Zeknor made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. "Yes, we escaped. Because of you. You absorbed enough radiation to kill 3 of my people. The electrical shock should have stopped your heart permanently. But somehow you lived." Marcus looked at his bandaged hands. "How bad?" "Your hands will heal. Slowly, but they will heal. Your body is, remarkable. Human bodies are stronger than we ever knew." The captain sat down again, all 4 hands resting on his knees. "Marcus Webb, I owe you an apology. I thought humans were primitive, weak, children playing at space travel." He looked Marcus in the eyes. "I was wrong. Humans are survivors. You do what must be done, even when it seems impossible. We just don't know how to quit," Marcus said with a weak smile. Over the next few days, Marcus slowly recovered. Each day he grew stronger. Visitors came, passengers who wanted to thank him, crew members who wanted to shake his hand, aliens from species Marcus had never even heard of. The news spread fast, not just through the ship but across the galaxy. Every alien civilization heard the story. A human tourist saved an entire ship of advanced aliens using nothing but determination and improvisation. "You've become famous," the medical officer told Marcus one day. "The whole galaxy is talking about you." Marcus didn't feel famous. He felt tired and sore, but he also felt something else, proud, not just for himself, but for humanity. 2 weeks after the incident, Marcus was well enough to walk. Captain Zeknor invited him to the bridge. When Marcus arrived, the entire crew stood and saluted him. A Velcor gesture of deep respect, usually reserved for military heroes. "Marcus Webb," Captain Zeknor announced formally. "The Galactic Council has sent a message. They want to meet you." "Me? Why?" The captain smiled, a real smile, not the polite fake ones from before. "Because you prove something important. Humans might not have the most advanced technology. You might not have been in space as long as we have. But when everything fails, when all systems break down, when death seems certain, humans find a way." He gestured to the view screen. It showed messages from dozens of alien civilizations, invitations, offers, requests. "They all want humans on their ships now," the navigator said. "As engineers, as problem solvers, as the crew who can handle a crisis." Marcus stared at the messages, overwhelmed. One simple act of desperation had changed how the entire galaxy saw his species. "What about you?" Marcus asked Captain Zeknor. "Do you still think humans are primitive?" The captain's purple eyes gleamed. "I think humans are terrifying, in the best possible way." He extended one of his 4 hands. "And I would be honored if you would stay on my ship as chief engineer. That is, if you can forgive an old fool for his prejudice." Marcus shook the captain's hand. A human gesture the captain had learned just for this moment. "One condition," Marcus said. Anything. Next time something breaks, you let me fix it my way. The human way. Captain Zeknor laughed, a deep, genuine sound. Deal, though I hope nothing breaks for a very long time. Marcus grinned. Captain, things always break. That's just how the universe works. The question is, do you have someone who knows how to fix them? He looked out at the stars through the view screen, at the infinite possibilities ahead. Humanity's journey in the galaxy was just beginning. 6 months passed since the incident at the Nebula of Storms. Marcus stood on the bridge of the Starwind, now wearing the silver uniform of Chief Engineer. His hands had healed, though faint scars remained, marks he wore with quiet pride. Engineer Webb, we're approaching Earth, the navigator announced. Marcus felt his heart jump. Home. He hadn't seen Earth in almost a year. So much had changed since he left as a simple tourist. The blue and green planet appeared on the view screen, beautiful and familiar. But something was different. Dozens of ships orbited Earth. Not just human ships, but alien vessels from across the galaxy. Velcor cruisers, Mantari frigates, species Marcus was still learning about. What's going on? Marcus asked. Captain Zeknor smiled. You'll see. The Starwind docked at Earth's largest orbital station. When the airlock opened, Marcus stepped into a corridor filled with people. Humans and aliens all waiting, they erupted in cheers. Marcus stopped stunned. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. A human official pushed through the crowd. Admiral Chen, head of Earth's Space Command. Marcus Webb, the Admiral said, shaking his hand firmly. Welcome home, son. You've made us all very proud. I just did what anyone would do, Marcus said, uncomfortable with the attention. No, the Admiral said. You did what only a human would do. Come, there's someone who wants to meet you. They walked through the station to a conference room. Inside were representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. At the head of the table sat a hologram, the Galactic Council Chair, a wise-looking alien with silver skin and 3 eyes. Marcus Webb of Earth, the chair said. Your actions have changed the galaxy's perception of humanity. Before, humans were seen as newcomers, primitive and inexperienced. Now you are seen as essential. The word hung in the air. We have gathered here to make an announcement, the chair continued. The Galactic Engineering Guild, the most prestigious technical organization in known space, wishes to extend an invitation to humanity. We want humans on every ship, every station, every colony. We want your unique problem-solving abilities, your refusal to accept defeat, your capacity to endure. Marcus looked at the alien faces around the table. 6 months ago, most of these species wouldn't even talk to humans. Now they needed them. But more than that, a Velcor elder spoke up. We want to learn from you. How do humans think? How do you improvise? How do you fix the unfixable? Marcus thought about it. Humans grew up on a dangerous planet. Earth has earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes. Our technology broke constantly when we first started. We had no choice but to learn how to fix things with whatever we had. We learned to adapt or die. And you chose to adapt, the chair said. That is a rare quality. Most civilizations, once they achieve perfect technology, lose the ability to handle imperfection. A Mantari engineer leaned forward, her insect-like eyes curious. Will you teach us, Marcus Webb? Will you show us how humans think? Marcus looked at Admiral Chen, who nodded encouragingly. Yes, Marcus said. But not just me. There are millions of humans who can do what I did. Mechanics, engineers, problem solvers. People who work with broken things every day. If you want to learn from humanity, you need to learn from all of us. The Galactic Council Chair's 3 eyes gleamed. Then let this be our agreement. Humanity joins the Galactic Engineering Guild as full members. In exchange, humans will serve on ships across the galaxy, and human teachers will train alien engineers in your methods. We accept, Admiral Chen said officially. The room erupted in approval. Humans and aliens applauding together. After the meeting, Marcus walked to the observation deck. Earth hung below him, peaceful and beautiful. He heard footsteps and turned to see Captain Zeknor approaching. Quite a day, the captain said, standing beside him. Yeah, Marcus agreed. I came up here as a tourist. Now I'm apparently representing my entire species. You earned it. That human determination of yours saved 300 lives on my ship." Captain Zeknor paused. "I received a message from the Velcor Council. They're redesigning our ships, adding redundancy systems, building in ways to fix things manually when automation fails. They're calling it human proofing, making ships that humans can repair." Marcus laughed. "That's good. Perfect ships are dangerous. When they fail, no one knows what to do." "Wisdom from a species that's only been in space 50 years, the captain said with amusement. Yet somehow, it's wisdom we needed. Below them, Marcus saw a transport ship arriving at the station. Young humans were disembarking, the first class of Earth engineers heading to alien ships for training assignments. "They look excited," Marcus observed. "Scared too, probably," the captain said. "Leaving home, working with aliens they've never met." "They'll be fine," Marcus said confidently. "Humans adapt. It's what we do." Over the next few months, Marcus traveled the galaxy, visiting alien engineering academies. He taught classes on improvisation, on fixing things with limited resources, on staying calm during emergencies. His most popular lesson was called the human way. "First rule," Marcus would tell his mixed human-alien classes, "nothing is truly unfixable. If it's broken, there's a way to repair it or work around it. You just have to be creative. Second rule, perfect is the enemy of good. A quick, ugly solution that works is better than a perfect solution you never finish. Third rule, never give up. Ever. Keep trying until you succeed, or until trying is physically impossible." Alien students listened, fascinated. Some struggled with the concepts. Their cultures had taught them that perfection was essential. But slowly they learned. 1 year after the incident, Marcus returned to the Starwind. The ship was preparing for another journey through the nebula of storms. This time, passengers requested the route specifically. They wanted to see where the human miracle happened. Marcus stood in the repaired engine room, running final checks. A young Velcor engineering student worked beside him, one of the first aliens trained in human methods. "Engineer Webb," the student asked nervously, "what if something goes wrong again? What if I freeze up like our pilots did?" Marcus put a hand on the young Velcor's shoulder. "Then you remember what I taught you. Take a breath. Look at the problem, break it into smaller pieces, and fix them one by one. You've got 4 arms, that's 2 more than I had." The student laughed nervously. "I hope I have half your courage." "Courage isn't about not being scared," Marcus said. "It's about doing what needs to be done even when you're terrified. That's something any species can learn." The journey through the nebula was smooth. The ship performed perfectly. But Marcus noticed something different. The crew was confident, not complacent. They knew things could go wrong, and now they knew how to handle it. 5 years later, the galaxy had changed. Human-alien mixed crews were common. Alien ships had human engineers. Alien engineers studied at Earth universities. The barrier between species had started to break down. Marcus, now a senior instructor at the Galactic Engineering Academy, stood before a graduating class. Hundreds of students from 20 different species. "When I was pulled into that engine room 5 years ago," Marcus told them, "I was just a tourist trying not to die. I didn't think about being a hero or representing humanity. I just thought about solving the problem in front of me." He looked at the young faces. Humans, Velcors, Mantari, species he'd never seen before coming together. "That's what I want you to remember. You're not here to be heroes. You're here to solve problems. Sometimes those problems will be small, a stuck door, a broken relay. Sometimes they'll be big, a failing engine, a dying ship. But whatever the problem, you have the tools to fix it." He held up his scarred hands. "These scars remind me that sometimes fixing things hurts. Sometimes it's dangerous. Sometimes you have to sacrifice. But the alternative, giving up, letting people die, that's not an option. Not for humans, and now, not for any of you." The students stood and applauded. Human and alien together. After the ceremony, Marcus received a message. A new exploration ship was being built, the first vessel designed from the beginning by both human and alien engineers. They wanted Marcus to be chief engineer for its maiden voyage into unexplored space. Marcus looked at the message, at the ship's name, Unity. He smiled and accepted. That night, Marcus stood alone on an observation deck, looking at the stars. His communicator buzzed. A call from Earth. His sister's face appeared. "Hey, famous brother," she said, grinning. "Mom would have been so proud of you." "I hope so," Marcus said quietly. "I just wish she could have seen all this. Humans and aliens working together, exploring the galaxy as partners." "She did see it," his sister said. "Through you. You showed the galaxy what humans really are. Not primitive, not weak, just stubborn enough to never give up." Marcus laughed. "Yeah, that sounds about right." After the call ended, Marcus thought about how far humanity had come. 50 years ago, humans first left Earth. 20 years ago, first contact with alien life. 1 year ago, Marcus was just a tourist on a ship. Now, humans were essential to galactic civilization. Not because they had the best technology, not because they were the smartest or strongest, but because when everything failed, when systems broke, when death seemed certain, humans found a way. They adapted, they improvised, they endured, and they never ever gave up. Marcus looked at the stars and thought about the future. More ships to fix, more problems to solve, more challenges to overcome. He couldn't wait. The galaxy learned something important, Marcus said to himself, echoing words he'd spoken in 100 lectures. Humans might not be the best at everything, but when you need someone who won't quit, who'll fix the impossible, who'll hold on when everyone else lets go, you want a human on your crew. He smiled. Because that's who we are. That's humanity. And somewhere out in those stars, on 1,000 different ships, human engineers were proving him right, and repair at a time, one crisis at a time, one impossible problem at a time, never giving up, never backing down, always finding a way. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy, and it was just the beginning, the end.